three-pointer. Bang! Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from
Yo, what's going on, guys? So we're back. We're back. Sorry. Let's just get straight into it. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference playoffs. We're gonna, talk about the playoffs because obviously we weren't really here for
like 2 weeks, pretty much.
And so we're gonna start off with the Eastern Conference, then we'll talk a little bit of the Western Conference. So let's get straight into it. Series number 1 versus 8. One of the greatest first round matches of all time. The Miami Heat eliminate in shocking fashion the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games. Let's talk a little bit about that. Start.
Okay, so going back to our prediction, I had the Bucks winning a 5, and I'm pretty sure you did too.
Yeah.
But the opposite happened. I can't be tough on us because I'm pretty sure everybody thought that other people were even saying sweep. And I was talking to Ali that one of my friends was like, "Oh, bro, like I knew that he were gonna win."
No,
so I'm like,
you're true.
I'm like, there's no way you could have known that.
If you thought that, you're just a biased fan for the Heat, like keeping it a dub.
Because dude, the Heat, like we went to the playing game against the Bulls. The Heat were like minutes away from not even making it to the playoffs.
I mean, they lost to the Hawks. You know what I'm saying? The Hawks, obviously, they showed that they were okay, but still, like, that was crazy.
But in the whole season, they were not a good shooting team.
No.
Their offense was not there. And obviously, you made a video talking about what we shouldn't count them out 100%. And I still went into the series like with a little bit of faith that they're going to play good. But beating the Bucks, the team that a lot of people had as the favorite to win it all, people were like, "Oh, the Bucks are going to steamroll and then get to the Celtics, and then we'll see who wins there." But they just folded, bro. Giannis, he showed that the weaknesses that he was being criticized for like years ago, they're so not 100% like fake.
I think that winning the championship really, really helped a lot of people in that organization, especially Mike Budenholzer, who's a guy that I really want to dive into a little bit. But I think with Giannis, I mean, he doesn't have a post game. He can't shoot. He's a guy that's easily schemable in the playoffs. I think some of the reasons that he's won before is one-on-one coverage. I remember against the Suns, Monty Williams got criticized because he put DeAndre Ayton on him to just guard him one-on-one, and I think that's kind of like unacceptable. So
going back to that championship that he won in 2021, like it was very impressive. You know, I gotta give him credit obviously for winning it. No matter how it is, I was impressive to win the championship. But he didn't go against the best competition. Like Ali was saying, the defense that was being shown against him wasn't the best, so it made sense that he was able to go crazy. But talking a little bit more about the Heat, we gotta give our flowers and respect to Jimmy Butler.
Yeah,
Butler's doing it once again. We're probably gonna make a full video about it, so we're not gonna go super in depth. About 56 points in a game, obviously like 37 points the whole series on insane shooting. I mean, he has been the best player in this playoffs. I think most people can agree.
Yeah.
Right now they're going against the Knicks and they're already up 2-1, so it's looking like they're gonna make it to the conference finals.
And they're looking
again.
like they're way better than them. I mean, they almost beat them in game 2 without Jimmy Butler. I mean, and like I said about the Jimmy Butler thing, going back into that, that's the greatest performance I've ever seen by any player. And I actually think it's the greatest playoff performance of all time. So I just want it's crazy, but I got to give credit. And then going back a little bit of going to the Bucks, I think, to be honest, this was on Mike Budenholzer. I think the defense that he put was horrible. Now once doubled Jimmy, and I think that's been a thing with Mike. Like he doesn't like changing things. He's very stubborn, and that's hurt him in the past, and that almost got him fired a few years ago because he would not guard the 3. And then the same thing now. I mean, I think, and he got fired for it. So we can talk a little bit. He got fired, and I think deservingly so. I think this was 100% on him because the talent was there. To me, they were the best team in the NBA. I said all year they were my favorites. And they got eliminated in 5 games against the 8 seed. And to me, that's unacceptable. Like,
they blew a bunch of leads.
And the crazy thing about that is, like, it's so crazy because even without Giannis, the team is still good. You know, obviously, Drew Holiday had his best season. Middleton, he was in and out of the lineup, but still, he was good. You know, they have so many people on the team, and it's just crazy that they lost in 5. Like, think about that.
The other series for the first round would be the Cavaliers against the Knicks. I had the Cavaliers winning 7, and Ale had the Knicks in 6 or 7.
Yeah, 7.
But even then, like I think people had the Knicks weren't expecting the Knicks to just look so much more better than the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell had a great game 1 performance, but ever since then, it wasn't the same. They started locking him up. And the Cavaliers showed their youth, and they showed that their bench is not it, you know?
Yeah.
We talked a lot, like, in our predictions about how benches don't matter as much in the playoffs. And that's so true to some degree. I think this playoff specifically has shown that depth matters.
No, it definitely matters, and we're seeing it with the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, we've seen it with the Suns. I mean, they almost lost to the Clippers, which is crazy. Like, I know they won in 5, but if you look at the games, all the games were close, right? And we're looking at their bench not producing. I mean, they're doing a little bit better now against Denver. We'll talk about that in the Western Conference playoffs. But no, I think depth is important. We've seen it with the Knicks. I mean, look, the Cavs literally had 0 bench, and it's crazy because Kevin Love, who's a guy that's succeeding for the Miami, he was playing great for them. He was on the Cavaliers, and they just waived him, and he could have been a tremendous help just for the rebounding and stuff. And I want to give a big shout out right there to Mitchell Robinson. I think he outplayed both Evan Mobley and Jet Allen combined. That's crazy, right? No, they just weren't ready.
Didn't even play that good in that series.
No,
he was out like in the final game,
and they just weren't ready. I think the Cavaliers weren't ready. My big criticism with Donovan Mitchell was I think he's got to get other people involved. He's always tried. I mean, I know he was always the best player on his team, the best offensive weapon, and so he didn't have to rely on anybody else. But having a team like this with Darius Garland, you have to be able to trust your teammates and allow them to make plays, allow them to get going, because you're gonna lose. And if they lock Donovan Mitchell up, he's done. Like, the team is done. And I think next year, I don't know what they're gonna be able to do because they have to pay Evan Mobley now, so they're gonna have basically 3 players on a supermax contract. So I don't know if they're gonna trade Jared Allen. I don't know if Mobley can pay full-time 5. And so it's gonna. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see what they're gonna do, what the Cavaliers are gonna do.
But I think they're gonna be fine. They're still young. They have a young core that's nice. And there's Garland and Mobley and Mitchell's still relatively young.
Yeah.
So I think they'll figure out they gotta get a 3-and-D player, somebody that's better than Asik Okoro that can actually shoot. Because Asik Okoro was like pretty much unplayable.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to the next series. There's not much to say here. The Sixers against the Nets. The Sixers, this is the quickest series. We all expect them to win. And the Nets, I guess I'm intrigued to see what they're gonna do in the future with the team.
Sure.
You know, they're like in an interesting spot. I don't know if they're gonna like try to get back to winning, or if they're gonna like just go full rebuild mode. Not 100% sure, but we'll see in the summer.
I mean, the 76ers played down to their competition. I think they actually they played bad in a lot of games because I think they weren't really even trying. And I think we saw Doug Rivers. I actually like some of the things that I saw from Doug Rivers in this series. But no, overall, there's not really anything to say. So yeah, let's just move on to the Celtics versus the Hawks. This is a really good series, actually. At first I thought the Celtics were gonna sweep. Maybe the Hawks would get one game. But then Trae Young and DeJounte Murray really came up and played great, both of them. You know, DeJounte Murray was really the best player most of the series, and then Trae Young came at the end. And you know, it was really great to see that we really saw Jason Tatum showing some cracks, and that's something we got to talk a little bit about that because I think Jason Tatum. I don't know. I've been really disappointed with Jason Tatum. There's been some games that he's fallen asleep, and he just hasn't played to the level that I think we thought he was gonna play, especially after how bad he played last year in the final.
But is that it doesn't make sense? Like, just that game yesterday against the Sixers, 2 points in the first half. Yeah. Like, that's not acceptable. And it's like, you're 1 of 9. And he has a lot of those games that you shoot horrible, but you just can't make a shot. And then it's funny because I'm watching that game against the Sixers, and then in the second half he comes out and just looks dumb. Like, he's driving in, he's making a shot. And I'm like, what happened? Like, are you in your head? It has to be, because I know he has the talent and skill to be scoring at will, like, almost the whole game. And so Tatum has to figure that out. They're gonna win the championship because if Tatum underperforms again, they're not winning. They might not even make it to the final.
Even if they're a great team, I think they go by where Jason Tatum goes. And Jaylen Brown's great. He's actually been I think he's barely even had any bad games. He's been great. But the thing with them is that Jaylen Brown's 1,000% the second option. They treat him like that. So like if Tatum plays bad, that's literally your best player playing bad. And sometimes it's hard to overcome that. You know, Derek White, obviously he's been playing great, and a lot of the role players, Al Horford, Robert Williams, etc., they've been playing great. But if Jason Tatum isn't there, then they can't win. You know what I'm saying? Something that I really want to mention, because, and this goes against the Sixers as well, I think Joe Mazzulla has a lot of things that I've criticized him heavily throughout the year. I don't really like his offense. You guys know how I don't think, and we talked about this, a 3-point shooting team can ever win a championship. We've seen that in the past. I think with the Rockets teams, those teams never were able to win a championship.
Like a team that's only
that's for example, they've been died by the 3.
People called the Warriors a 3-point shooting team, but they had a great coach and a great offense. It was
way more than that. And that's the part that people don't understand. I think people look at what the Warriors were able to do, and they're like, "Oh, let's do that." But the Warriors were never like that. Their offense is beautiful. They have one of the most incredible offenses, literally, of all time. But I think we saw it with the Rockets. We saw it with the Suns like a long time ago. They didn't even make it to the finals. The Rockets were never able to make it to the finals. And we're kind of seeing that now with the Celtics. I mean, the Celtics are literally live and die by the 3. And I think maybe that's why sometimes we don't see Jason Tatum get going as much, because they take a lot of threes. You know what I'm saying? And if they're not making them, they're extremely beatable. And I think Joe Mazzulla, he's obviously gotten criticized about the timeouts. I don't personally have a big problem with it. For example, like yesterday's game, he didn't call a timeout to set a play, and then they ended up like not being able to get a shot off in time. But I think with that, they just wanted to get like sort of like a mismatch on the floor, which was what the Sixers did game 1, where James Harden had Al Horford. He had a step back 3 on him. So that's basically what they were trying to do, and I think that was mostly on Jason Tatum for taking too long to set the play. But yeah, I think overall, Joe Mazzulla has been a disappointment. He's shown that he is a rookie coach, so hopefully he comes back next year. And I don't know. I mean, I think the Celtics to me are still the favorites. I don't know if you would say that.
Like to win the championship?
Yeah. To me, like just being as unbiased as possible, because for a moment there I had the Nuggets, but I think the Nuggets.
Yeah, I can't even lie right now. I think it's still very up in the air.
It's extremely up in there
because every single team has shown its cracks.
Yeah,
and we're gonna talk more about the West later on. But I would say the team that I don't see winning at all is the Knicks. The Knicks,
I got you.
The teams that I see the least are the Sixers and the Knicks. Even the Sixers did tie series. Can't really see them winning the championship. I think somebody will beat them. I think if they make it to the conference finals, I think the Heat are going to beat them and make it to the finals. But if the Celtics make it to the conference finals, I think they're going to be the Heat.
I'll say that. I can see it. And I think with the Celtics, it's like, I think they're too good to not win. I think if they don't win, that would be the biggest disappointment, because it's like their biggest op, which was the Bucks, they're not playing anymore. And it's like you losing like that is crazy.
But that's made a great point. There were two shots away from sweeping the Sixers.
So it's like it's hard, and there's been games that Jason Tatum has played really bad, and they haven't been able to win. And they have been able to win those games.
He dropped 7 points the other day. No,
exactly. And they blew them out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then I guess talking a little bit about the Sixers versus the Knicks, I think the Heat versus the Knicks. I think the Heat have looked dominant, which is crazy. Like they've literally looked dominant, because even against the Bucks, obviously they didn't look dominant. They just like they were close games. Actually the Bucks were winning for a bit, but I think that against the Knicks, they've looked dominant. They look like the best team by far. And every time I tell Abram every day, literally I text him every day, how is this possible? I look at that roster. I look at Gabe Vince. I look at a guy like Max Strus. Who is that? I don't know what that is.
They're playing Highsmith a lot of minutes.
It's like I look at that, and because their second option offensively is not playing. Their second best player is playing like ass in Bam Adebayo. I look at that team and I was like, bro, how is this possible? And you look at the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, like a star, Julius Randle, he's gonna be an All-NBA player. You look at Mitchell Robinson. Like RJ Barrett. What? It's like, oh my gosh, it's talent after talent. Quickly, Daniel won 6 man of the year. Like, it's talent after talent after talent. Then you look at these bums, bro. Kevin Love, old. Kyle Lowry, 37 years old, bro. Didn't even know that dude was that old. Like, these people are, and it's like, how is this possible? And I'm going to tell you why. His name is Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA. I think he finally needs to get his respect. He is the #1 coach of the year, which is crazy. Eric Spoelstra, to me, is one of the, he literally got nominated a top 15 coach of all time. This man is showing his greatness. And one thing I heard about Eric Spoelstra, he never looks at a player's weaknesses. He looks at what they're good at, and he makes that better. He brings that out. For example, Duncan Robinson, he's not a good defender. Doesn't matter. They're still one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, even with Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson used to start, and they were still one of the best defensive teams. That just shows you how great of a coach he really is. And they have leaders like Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry's been a great vet, a great leader. Kevin Love, Jimmy Butler. It's like, I love this team, and I love their story, man. I would love for them to win a championship. This has been one of the most beautiful stories in basketball. I want to give props to 1 through 17. I want to give props to Eric Spoelstra. This has been like amazing basketball to watch, and it's literally like I find myself rooting for them, watching every single game, every single dribble. It's beautiful. It really, really, really is.
Nah, 100%. Us as C fans, it's been fun. It's been fun to watch it again. And like everything he said, I agree. There's not much to add. And to end it off, I guess.
Talk a little bit about Sixers Celtics.
Yeah, a little bit about the Sixers side. That's we talked about the leagues. Jump shot him.
2 of his best games, 2 of his worst games.
I don't know what's going on with you, but respect for those 2 games. It's funny because games 1 and 4 have been arguably like
his 2 best games. Yeah,
playoff games.
I think game 1 is his best game ever.
Yeah, game 1 the best, and game
like playoff game.
Dude, is that I was seeing this side. I was like, oh, he has hit 2 like game-winning shots pretty much, and that's rare. Like that doesn't really happen too much in the playoffs.
Embiid, he hasn't really been getting going as well.
Embiid, a lot of people are criticizing for going for the MVPs too hard because now he has an injury, and that's happened to him in the past. But
always gets injured.
And he was saying like, oh, I was supposed to be out for like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, so, stop saying that. Stop. I don't like people saying that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, we get it. You're playing bad, but you don't have to say that every time. But all I want to say is I think the Celtics will win, but I have been impressed by the 76ers. I've been impressed by Harden. So
yeah, I think the Heat and the Celtics are gonna make it to conference finals, and then from there we'll see. The Celtics show beat them.
But hey,
we
man,
never know,
we've been saying that. I thought the Knicks were gonna beat the Heat. I thought the Bucks were definitely gonna beat the Heat, and it's like, look at this.
Yeah. So that's pretty much gonna end it off. I hope you guys enjoyed our thoughts. You know, we're gonna stay more consistent with the playoffs, all of that. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like the video, and peace out.
Peace out.